I'm Prasoon. Welcome back to Money is Blind podcast. So, in this episode, I'll be talking about the accessibility features that you can find in an Apple computer. Right now, I have a mid 2012 MacBook Pro. It's a pretty old version, and the first thing that you need as a blind person to get your work done with a MacBook is know how to use voiceover. So the very first time, if you have a MacBook or an Apple computer, an iMac, anything, I'm not talking about iPhones or iPads, okay? The software is different. It runs on iOS, whereas Mac computers run on Mac OS. So if you are a Windows guy, then you should wait for that episode, which will be coming up in the next 1 week. I promise you that, because I've been using a Windows 10 laptop recently, and I find it to be as much accessible as Apple computers. So we were talking about voiceover. So yeah, if you have a MacBook, the first thing that you need to know is how to use voiceover. And if you don't know what a voiceover is, it is a screen reader which will help you how to navigate your computer and get the things done, complete all your tasks, and gather all the information. Everything you can do with voiceover. Even if you have little vision or no vision, you can still learn how to use voiceover. I started using voiceover even when my vision was not fully gone, when I had very little vision. So till then I was using high contrast and dark mode enabled, but now I can't use my MacBook without voiceover. So the very first shortcut that you need to know is command with F5, the function key number 5. You press both of them together and that toggles voiceover on. So right now I am recording this podcast in my MacBook, as I've already mentioned, and it is already 8 years old and it is still going good, apart from the fact that the battery is very old and it needs a replacement, but I haven't done it because the genuine parts are not available in my area. So which version of Mac OS am I using right now? I'll just go to, in order to find the Mac OS version, all I have to do is press and hold the option and the voiceover key, that is the VO key, which are the second and the third keys on the left side of the bottom row in your keyboard. Press and hold them together along with the M key. So that gives us the menu bar, and from there we can navigate to right and left. It automatically selects the Apple icon that you can find in the top left corner of every Mac computer. So if you press that same keys again, you go for the menu extra. That's where you find Bluetooth, time machine, time input agent, text input agent, Bluetooth options, Wi-Fi options, volume, battery, and the date. You will also get Spotlight, Siri, and notifications there. So press and hold the voiceover keys, which are, as mentioned earlier, the two keys, the second and the third keys in the bottom left of your keyboard. Along with that, if you press the M key, it goes to the Apple menu. In the Apple menu, you will find at least 10 items. You can go to About this Mac, which I press now. So in order to select any item using the keyboard, I just have to press the voiceover keys along with the space key. Or if I have enabled the trackpad gestures, I just have to double tap on the trackpad with my single finger, and that enables the selection. It is just like pressing the voiceover keys along with the space key. So now that the about this Mac window is open, I'll just navigate to it using my trackpad and single swipe gestures to the right. This computer is using Intel i5 and this RAM is now at 10 gigabytes, 1600. That's very low megahertz RAM. It's a 2.5 gigahertz dual core Intel Core i5 computer. That's the processor. It's a MacBook Pro 13-inch mid 2012 and the software version is 10.15.7. I think the name of this version is Catalina. I haven't received any updates after that and I haven't bothered to update it. So I'm planning to use this computer as long as this keeps going, and when it's shut down or when it all of a sudden crashes, then I'm going to update. All right. So that's my plan. I believe in the philosophy of don't try to fix it if it ain't broken. So that's what I believe. Now that we know the software which I am using right now, you might be using a newer version of the MacBook and it might have a newer software version as well. So uh, in this episode, I'll be talking about all the accessibility features which are available in macOS 10.15.7 and later. Alright, so in order to find that, I just have to close this window by pressing the Command and W key. Then I bring on the Spotlight search. These are the keys which I use to bring on the Spotlight. It is Command along with the spacebar. So the Spotlight search box is open and in that I type accessibility, ACCESSI, and that has given me, yeah, accessibility is there, and I press on the enter key and it is loading. Now it is open. The accessibility window is open. It is in the system preferences. You can also go to there by pressing on the voiceover menu key, M key, and then in the Apple menu you can find system preferences. There you can navigate to accessibility. So this was a shortcut. Now what are the accessibility features that we get in a MacBook? Right now we are talking about my MacBook, okay? So there are vision. I'm navigating through a table which has the first option as vision. Under vision there are many features like voiceover, zoom, display, and then there is speech, descriptions, hearing, audio, RTT, captions, motor, voice control, keyboard, pointer control, switch control, general accessibility features, Siri, shortcuts, and shortcuts. That's the last option that we get. So let me go back to vision. All right, by default it goes to vision, and that is what gets selected if you open the accessibility window. And here there are descriptions about what voiceover is, so you can learn voiceover here. There is a toggle button, it is a tick box, and there is a toggle button to enable voiceover. You can find it here itself, and in my computer the enable voiceover checkbox is checked, which I can uncheck with a single finger double tap on the trackpad or by using the voiceover keys along with the space key. Right, the next option is to open voiceover training, which I'm not going to do right now, and that's because I have already trained myself how to use this. It saved me a lot of time because most of the work, no, all of the work that I do on this MacBook is using voiceover. Then there is open voiceover utility. This I will discuss in another episode. It is a big topic, and I have already talked about voiceover utility features and how you can download my voiceover settings as a file by visiting moneyisblind.com. You can still do it. You just have to give me your email address, and I will share you an email. You will get an email from me with the link where you can download the voice over settings file, the exact same settings that I'm using, the voice, the speed, the speech, the pitch, everything without any change. You can download it from there. Alright, so there is another option which says we can show accessibility status in menu bar, which I am not using. It is unchecked right now. So these are all the options that we get in voiceover. Now let's go to the other options, right? Zoom. I have never used this option. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I had little vision, but I don't remember using Zoom as much as I use voiceover. So it is not a feature that I use very often, and I can't seem to like it that much. I don't even use Zoom in my iPhone as well. I don't know why. Maybe there are persons who use Zoom. So here in my computer, there are keyboard shortcuts which I can use to enable Zoom, which I'm not using. It is unchecked. So the keyboard shortcut to enable Zoom is Option, Command, and 8. So the zoom in key is Option, Command equals, and the zoom out key is the zoom out is unassigned in my computer. I haven't used it, as I said earlier. And there's another option which I don't know what it is. Use scroll gesture with modify keys to zoom, which is unchecked by default, and I am not going to change it. And there's another option. This is another heading. It's called zoom style. It's a pop-up button. So let me see what are the options that we get in this pop-up button. There is full screen, which is selected right now. There's split screen, and there is picture in picture. So I'm not going to pick any, so I'm pressing the escape key, and we also get to choose display. So if you have multiple displays, I think that is what it means. If you have multiple monitors or displays connected to your MacBook or your Apple computer, this is where you can choose which display you want to zoom. And then there is advanced features. I'm not going into that. Enable hovering over text is also unchecked here. Alright, so these are the options that we get in Zoom. Now, what is the next option? Display. There are 2 tabs in display. First one is display. No, there are 3 options. The second is cursor, and the third is color filters. Right now I am in display tab under display settings in accessibility. Alright, so here the first option is invert colors. It is a checkbox and I'm not using it right now. So if you toggle that on, you will get 2 other advanced options. You can either go for classic invert, which I think will invert everything in your screen, even photographs, and there will be smart invert, which inverts only the graphical elements, the menu bars, the cursors, the font, the text, and it doesn't invert videos or the photos. The media, it doesn't invert the color. So that's classic invert. I haven't used it in my MacBook, so I'm not sure whether it is there or not. So I'm not going into detail. Reduce motion is unchecked in my MacBook. Increase contrast is also unchecked. So let me check it. Should I check it? It doesn't make any changes to my MacBook because I'm using VoiceOver and I haven't used the display options as much because my vision is that poor. Reduce transparency is also unchecked. Let the transparency work because when some other person, if it is my wife or my son who is using the laptop, let them enjoy the marvel that Steve Jobs and his team has built into this software. So why should I disable this only because of the reason that I'm using this laptop most of the time. By the way, my wife and son doesn't like to use this MacBook because all the time the voiceover is toggled enabled on, and they haven't still learned how to turn it off. And every time my wife tries to use this MacBook, she asks me, how do I turn this off? And I have to tell her the shortcut keys. So the next option is differentiate without colors. It is also unchecked. Display contrast, it's a slider. There is 0, normal and maximum. I'm not sure where I am right now. Show accessibility status in menu bar is also unchecked. So these are the features in the first tab, which is display. Now let's go to cursor, the second tab under display. What do we get here? Shake mouse pointer to locate. That checkbox is checked. Let me uncheck it. I don't want it because I haven't seen the mouse pointer in years. Quickly move the mouse pointer back and forth to make it bigger. That's the explanation for that feature. Cursor size is there. These options are mostly useful for visually impaired persons with little vision. It won't help you if you don't have even a tiny little amount of vision in your eyes. So if you can't see the pointer, you can make it bigger. You can find all the options, all the features, all the settings in here. So let me go to the third tab, the color filters. Color filters is not enabled in my computer, and there is a filter type pop-up button. Let me check what are the options we get there. There are 5 items. There's grayscale, red or green filter, green/red filter, blue/yellow filter, color tint. There are so many options. I think this is mainly for persons who have color blindness, not for visually impaired or blind persons. Right, so these are the 3 tabs that we get in display. Now coming back to the table, the next option is speech. Let me take key to speech. The system voice is Alex for me. Which voice are you using? I would love to know that. I will leave a question in the show notes. You can answer it right there. You can also send me voice messages, all right? I've been using Alex for a long time as my system voice, but my voiceover voice is different. The system voice, I think it gets enabled when I try to read a web page using the built-in reader. I'm not talking about voiceover. This is the announcements, those sort of voice, those sort of announcements and voice is used by the system as a whole. For that, I'm using Alex. We can increase or decrease the speed of the voice. Mine is right now at 68%. Announcements are enabled. I think I am going to disable it. So there's another option. Speak selected text when the key is pressed. That checkbox is ticked. And the current key is Option plus Tab. We can change key by pressing a button here. Speak items under the pointer. That's another feature, and it is unchecked. So there are many pop-up options right there. I'm not going into that. So that's it. I think the rest of the options we'll cover in another episode. So if you haven't explored all the accessibility features that you get in your MacBook, you should do it, because if you don't try, you won't find the right settings for your computer. Every setting can be changed because Apple has been one of the most accessible laptops in the world. It has been the only laptop which has been accessible to blind persons for almost 2 decades now. So Windows narrator and NVDA, those became popular only 5 or 10 years ago, right? Apple had thought about persons with disabilities, especially those who are blind, even before Windows started thinking about us. So that is another reason why most of the blind persons are using Apple computers instead of JAWS. I haven't used JAWS. I heard about it, but I haven't used it. I never used it. So if you haven't explored all the accessibility features that your computer has to offer, go through it. You might find something interesting. It could help you save some time. It could improve your speed. It could improve your productivity. It could help you get all your tasks completed, finished in a short time. So I think that will be enough. There will be a second part of this episode, of course. In that episode, we'll go to speech and other options that we can find in the accessibility feature. And in a later episode, we'll go into the voiceover. And in a later episode, we'll go into the voiceover utility. Okay. If you are using a MacBook, you can go to voiceover utility by simply typing voiceover utility in the spotlight, or going to accessibility, selecting voiceover, and then you can find voiceover utility right there just under the voiceover training. Alright guys, it's been a long one. Yesterday we had a sales meeting with our new sales team members, and it went on for an hour. So I was not feeling that good. My voice was breaking, and I thought I needed to take a rest. So that's why I didn't record a podcast yesterday. But today I was ready with this thing, and I knew from the moment that I turned on this MacBook, that I wanted to talk about accessibility. And so there it goes. I think that's it. I hope you like this episode. If you have any questions, you can find me on moneyisblind.com. Simply open your phone or computer and type in any browser. If you type in moneyisblind.com and then press the enter key, you will find my website. You can contact me using the contact page, or you can subscribe to my newsletter, and I'll keep sending you emails till you unsubscribe from it. Does that sound good? Okay. All right then. Bye guys. I'll talk to you in another episode. Take care. Good night.